Alright, welcome back again to MBAbullshitDotCom. So the topic for this video is Cost Volume Profit Analysis, or CVP. It is also sometimes referred to as Break-Even Analysis, or BEP, for Break-Even Point. Alright, let's get down to it. Remember, you can always go back to MBAbullshit.com. Okay, so now let's first try to look for the break-even point for a business which is selling only one type of product. Okay, so we first have to do what we call break-even point analysis, and this is a part, or maybe even the first part of, or the first major fundamental part of cost volume profit analysis. So for example, your business sells watches at $10 each, and it costs you $3 in variable costs to make each watch. Now when we say variable costs, that might mean the plastic and the metal which goes into each watch that you make. Okay, that's just an example. Okay, and it costs you $100 per month in fixed costs to run your watch business. So when we say fixed costs, an example might be the rent. Okay, you have a flat fee of rent and maybe salaries of $100 per month for the storekeeper and the rent, and it doesn't change even when you sell more watches. Okay, or even when you sell less watches, it's always the same. Okay, unlike with the plastic and the metal as your variable costs, if you sell more watches, then you also have to pay for more plastic and metal to make more watches. If you sell less watches, then you have to pay for less plastic and metal to make the watches. Okay, so that's why it's called variable, meaning it changes a lot. Okay, so now if you sell 12 watches in 1 month, how much will your business earn, or how much will your business lose? Alright, so to do that, we use this formula. Okay, first we look for the gross margin per watch. Okay, you're selling it at $10 per watch, and it costs you a variable cost of $3 to make each watch. So you make a gross margin of $7 per watch. Okay, now notice that this gross margin is not yet your final profit. Why is it not yet your final profit? Because you still have to pay for your fixed costs, such as rent, okay, and stuff like that. So $7 per watch, okay, you're earning a gross margin of $7 per watch, or a margin of $7 per watch, multiplied by 12 watches sold, and you have a total gross margin for the month, or gross profit. Some people call it gross profit, but I find it confusing because it might be confused with final profit. So it's better to use the word margin. So you have a total gross margin for the month of $84. Okay? Again, this is not yet your final profit. You have to subtract the fixed costs. So less the fixed costs of $100 per month, as you remember from the last slide, and you make a loss of $16. $84 minus $100 equals negative $16. It's negative, so that means you lose money. So the important question is, how many watches do you need to sell so that you will not lose any money? Okay, so that you will at least break even. So break even means that you're selling enough so that you don't lose any money. Okay, so at break even, you are not yet earning any money, but you are already not losing any money anymore. Okay, so how many watches do you need to sell? So for that, we need to use this formula. Okay, and it looks like this. The break-even point in number of units equals your fixed costs divided by your selling price minus your variable costs. So it looks like this. As you remember, the fixed cost is $100 a month, and you divide that by your selling price of $10, and then you subtract the $3 in variable costs, and you will come up with a number of, okay, $100 divided by $7, because this now is $7, and you'll come up with a number of 14.29. So you need to sell 14.29 units or 14.29 watches in order to break even, so that you do not lose any money. However, remember that you cannot sell part of the watch. You can sell 14 watches, but that's not enough. So you need to sell an additional, okay, an additional 0.29 watches. But obviously, you cannot sell 0.29 watches. You sell 1 watch or 2 watches or 3 watches. So therefore, you must round it off to the higher number of 15 units. Okay, so in regular math, you usually round off the amount to the nearer number, okay, the nearer whole number. So in this case, you might round it off to 14 because it is nearer to this than 15. However, in this case, if you round it off to the lower number, 14, you will still lose money. So you always round it off to the higher number, 15 units. Okay? So that is your break-even point in number of units or in number of watches. You need to sell 15 watches in order to break even. Okay? And in this case, you will probably earn a small profit.